Zentar 7 was not a kind planet. Its sky was always dark purple. The wind smelled like metal. And in the busy city of Dromax, no one looked at anyone unless they had money, power, or pure alien blood. Lyara had none of those. She was a single mother. Her skin was soft silver, but her son had pale skin like a human. That was enough reason for others to reject her. On Zentar 7, hybrids were not welcome. She walked into another job center. Her boots were old, and her jacket had holes. In her arms she held a small bag. Inside were food pills, a broken datapad, and a small stuffed toy her son loved. Behind the desk, an alien with green scales looked at her with cold eyes. "I'm here to apply for the cleaning job," Lyara said softly. The alien clicked its tongue. "You? A hybrid mother?" "No. Leave before I call the guard." Lyara didn't argue. She bowed her head and left. It was the third rejection today, and she had only 30 credits left. Her son Kale was waiting in the corner of the busy street. He coughed as she walked closer. The air was dry and he didn't have a mask. "Mama, did you find work?" he asked in a weak voice. Lyara smiled, but it was fake. "Not yet, love, but soon." They sat on a bench made of old scrap metal. Around them, alien ships flew in the sky. Tall aliens walked by dressed in shiny uniforms. No one looked at them. No one cared. Lyara held her son close. She thought of her old home, of her dead husband, a human trader who died in a mining accident. Since his death, no one wanted her. Not on Earth, not on Zentar 7. Now even food was running low. "I'll try the port," she whispered. Kale nodded. He was only 6, but he understood too much. At the cargo port, giant ships were being loaded with crates. Robots walked back and forth, lifting heavy boxes. Lyara stood near a large board that listed open jobs. Most were filled. Some said aliens only. Others said no hybrids. Just as she turned to leave, a loud human voice called out, "Hey, you looking for work?" Lyara turned. A tall man stood beside a broken cargo ship. His clothes were dirty, and his beard was rough. But his smile was real. Yes, I need work," Lyara replied quickly. "Name's Rhodes. Captain Rhodes," the man said, holding out his hand. She hesitated, then shook it. "What can you do?" "I can clean, fix small machines, and cook a little," she said. Rhodes scratched his head. "You got a kid?" "Yes," she said carefully. "Good. That means you'll fight to survive." She blinked. "You don't care that I'm half alien, single mom, hybrid child?" He shrugged. "Everyone needs a chance. I ain't picky." Lyara stared. She almost cried. He took her and Kale aboard the ship. It was called the Wren. It looked old, like it hadn't been cleaned in years. Inside, wires hung from the ceiling. The lights flickered. The control panel had buttons missing. "It's not pretty," Rhodes said, "but it flies. Most days." Lyara smiled for real now. "I'll help make it better." Kale looked around in wonder. "Is this our new home?" "For now," Rhodes said, tossing him a small metal toy. "But there's rules." Lyara stood straight. "Yes, Captain?" "No stealing, no lying, and no dying. I hate funerals." She nodded. "Good," he said. "We leave tomorrow. Get some rest." That night, Lyara tucked Kale into a small bunk. He was already asleep before his head hit the pillow. She stood in the dark hallway looking at the stars through a small window. For the first time in months, she felt something warm in her chest. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, this strange human captain was her chance to start again. But in the shadows of the port, 2 alien workers watched the ship. "That's her," one of them whispered. "The hybrid with the child. She escaped once," the other hissed. "She won't escape again." Their eyes glowed, and they disappeared into the night. The ship's engine made a strange humming noise as it started. Lyara stood in the narrow hallway of the Wren, holding a metal mug of warm liquid. It wasn't real coffee, but it was better than the cold street air of Zentar 7. She still couldn't believe it. She had a job, a room, a warm bed for Kale. Captain Rhodes wasn't like the others. He didn't ask about her bloodline. He didn't ask about her past. He only asked one thing before she stepped aboard. "Can you learn?" She had said yes without thinking, but now she wondered if she could really do it. Rhodes was in the control room, feet on the console, chewing on something crunchy. When she entered, he didn't look up. "You sleep?" he asked. "A little," she said. "Kid okay?" "He's warm. That's enough for him." Rhodes nodded. "Good." A moment passed. Then he looked at her. "Most people lie to me," he said. "They smile, say nice things, then they steal, sabotage, or vanish." Lyara stayed silent. "I didn't hire you out of pity," he continued. "I hired you because I saw how you held your kid. Tight, like the galaxy was trying to rip him away." Her hands clenched. "You're not weak," he said. "You're cornered. That's different," she finally spoke. "You're not like other humans." He laughed. "Oh, I am. I'm just a broken one." He pressed a button. A hidden panel opened beside the wall, revealing old hollow recordings, images of human soldiers, alien cities burning, and a woman with dark hair holding a baby. "My family," he said. "They died in the Altheon War. No one came to help. So now I help the ones who get left behind." Lyara felt a strange pain. In her chest, he turned off the panel. "This ship, the Wren, is barely flying. We don't have much fuel, no real weapons, and a lot of enemies." She nodded slowly. "But," Rhodes continued, "if you work hard, stay loyal, and don't screw me over, this ship becomes your home." Lyara whispered, "I understand." "No," Rhodes said, standing now. "You don't. But you will. Later." That day, the ship landed on a small moon called Threxia 4. The air was yellow and the wind howled like it was alive. Their mission was simple: deliver medical crates to a local mining station. But something felt wrong. Even Kyle sensed it. He stayed close to Lyara, holding her hand tightly. As they entered the station, she noticed the guards were heavily armed, more than usual. Inside, the station master, a wide, sharp-toothed alien, eyed her like prey. "You brought her?" He growled at Rhodes. "She's with me," Rhodes said calmly. "Bad idea, human," the alien sneered. "Hybrids bring trouble." Rhodes stepped forward. "You're getting medicine, not opinions." The crates were delivered. But Lyara felt eyes on her the whole time. Not just from the guards, but from the shadows. Someone was watching. Back on the ship, Rhodes seemed tense. He double-checked. Every lock, every system. "Something you're not telling me?" Lyara asked. He looked at her, then sighed. "I don't care where you're from, Lyara," he said. "But others do. That moon, it's controlled by the Gralt Syndicate. They deal in weapons and people." Her breath caught. "They deal in people. Like me?" she asked. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. That night, someone tried to break into the ship. The alarm woke them all. Rhodes ran to the hatch, blaster in hand. Lyara rushed to Kale's room. The attacker escaped, but left a message burned into the wall. "The hybrid belongs to us." Rhodes stared at it for a long time. Then, he turned to her. "I gave you a job. Now I need the truth." Lyara's hands were shaking. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I ran from them, the Gralt Syndicate, years ago. They wanted Kyle." "Why?" Rhodes asked, voice sharp now. "Because he's rare. Half human, half Cathari. They think he's valuable. For research, or worse." Rhodes cursed under his breath. "You brought danger onto my ship." "I'm sorry," she said, holding back tears. "I just wanted to keep him safe." He stared at her. Then, slowly, he holstered his blaster. "All right," he said. "Then we protect him. Together." Lyara stared in shock. You mean you're not kicking us out? I told you, Lyara, he said. I helped those the galaxy throws away. Now get some rest. Tomorrow we fight back. The wren shot through hyperspace like a scar across the stars. Lyara stood near the window holding her son's blanket. Kyle was asleep in the small room behind her. But her eyes didn't close. Not after what happened on Threxia 4. Not after the message. The hybrid belongs to us. She had escaped the Grault Syndicate once. Now they had found her again. And worse, they had found her son. Captain Rhodes stood in the command room, silent and focused. He didn't joke today. No smile. No lazy feet. On the console. They had taken a new mission. Urgent cargo to a space station floating near a dying sun. Not because they needed the credits, but because they needed to disappear. Station Orvan 9, Rhodes said, pointing at the holomap. Not friendly, but quiet. We drop the crates, we leave fast. No mistakes. He turned to Lyara. You're with me this time. Lyara blinked. Me? Rhodes nodded. This isn't about scrubbing floors anymore. Time you learned what real work looks like. She straightened. I won't let you down. He looked her in the eyes. You can't. The landing was rough. Station Orvan 9 wasn't a place for tourists. Its walls were rusted. Lights flickered like dying stars. The guards didn't even bother to hide their weapons. Lyara and Rhodes entered with a floating cargo pod behind them. Inside were rare medical supplies worth more than the wren itself. As they walked down the narrow hallway, Lyara noticed something strange. Doors were half open. People stared from shadows. Not angry, not curious, afraid. She leaned toward Rhodes. Something's wrong, he nodded. I feel it too. Suddenly, an explosion shook the hallway. The cargo pod flipped. Smoke filled the air. Ambush! Rhodes shouted, pulling his blaster. Lyara fell to the ground, ears ringing. She looked up and saw masked figures charging from the smoke. But they weren't after the cargo, they were looking for her. Back on the Wren, Kyle sat in his room drawing stars on his old data pad. But then, the lights went out, and the door behind him clicked shut. He ran to it. Pressed the button. Nothing. Kyle's small hands trembled. Then he heard footsteps in the hallway. Rhodes fired at the attackers, covering Lyara as she ran for cover. One of the masked figures shouted, "Take the woman alive! The syndicate pays double for the child." Lyara's heart stopped. Her mind raced. They knew. She grabbed a broken pipe from the floor and swung hard as one attacker got close. He fell with a cry. Rhodes looked impressed. Remind me not to make you angry. But they were outnumbered, and the ship wasn't safe anymore. They ran back to the ship, dodging fire. Kyle had crawled into the ventilation shaft. His small body barely fit, but he had used these before to play hide and seek. Now he was hiding for real. Below him, he heard a voice. Where is the boy? The captain will trade him if he wants the girl to live. Kyle covered his mouth, holding back a sob. Then something moved behind him in the vent. It was small, metal, a service drone. Kyle remembered something his mother taught him. Machines are friends. Treat them kindly. They help back. He whispered, "Take me to the bridge." The drone blinked blue and started to move. Kale followed. Rhodes and Lyara ran through the docking bay. More attackers followed. They reached the ship, but the hatch didn't open. Locked from inside, Rhodes shouted. Liara's panic rose. Kyle is in there. Then the hatch hissed. It opened slowly. Kale stood there shaking with the drone beside him. I unlocked it, he said. Like you showed me, Mama. She grabbed him, hugging him tightly, then turned to Rhodes. We fight. We finish this. Inside the ship, the attackers followed, but were met with a surprise. Lyara had rerouted the coolant pipes. When the attackers entered the lower deck, freezing gas blasted out. They slipped, choked, and fell back. Not bad, Rhodes said. Engineering skills? Picked them up when I was hiding from the syndicate the first time, she said. He grinned. Told you you'd learn. They flew off Orvan 9, leaving behind fire and smoke. Later, in the control room, Rhodes leaned back again, for the first time in days. "You saved us," he said. Lyara didn't smile. She looked tired. "They're not stopping." "I know," Rhodes said. "But next time," she said, "I won't just run. I'll fight." He raised a cup to her. "To the fighter." She nodded, and Kale, sitting beside her, whispered, "To Mama, the strongest one in space." It started with a whisper. Late at night, when the engines were silent and Kale was asleep, Lyara heard it. A voice, soft and broken, coming from the air vent in her room. She got up, walked slowly, pressed her ear to the metal. "She doesn't belong here." Then silence. She stood there for a long time. Was it the ship creaking? Or was someone watching her? The next morning, she woke up to a message scratched into her door. Just 4 words, but they hit like a punch. "Get off this ship." Rhodes was in the engine room when she found him. "I think someone on your crew wants me gone," she said, showing the message. He looked at it, frowning. "Only 2 others on this ship. One's a robot. The other is Tarlin." Lyara remembered Tarlin, a tall, 4-armed alien engineer. He had never spoken a word to her. Just watched from across the mess hall, eyes sharp, silent. "Maybe it's him," Rhodes said. "But I don't jump to blame." She nodded. "Me neither, but someone opened Kale's door on Orvan 9 from inside." Rhodes went still. "You sure?" She didn't blink. "Yes," he sighed. "All right. You stay close to Kale. I'll talk to Tarlin." But even as he said it, Lyara saw something in his eyes. Doubt. Later, Lyara tried to act normal. She cleaned the air filters, helped Kyle with his studies, repaired a damaged food dispenser. But she couldn't stop thinking. Who had whispered? Who scratched her door? And more importantly, who knew about her past with the Syndicate? Only Rhodes knew. Or so she thought. That night, she found something strange in the control panel. While running a diagnostic, she found a hidden file, encrypted. When she opened it, a list of names appeared. One name repeated again and again. Lyara. Felther alongside it, reward offered, alive only. Hybrid female, son included. Her heart dropped. This was a Syndicate bounty file, and someone had accessed it 3 days ago. From inside the ship, she rushed to Rhodes. "Someone downloaded my bounty file." "From your ship?" His jaw clenched. "I didn't do it." "Then who?" she asked. They both knew the answer. Rhodes called a ship meeting. Tarlin entered slowly, long, arms behind his back. He looked bored. "You accessed a file," Rhodes said. "You weren't supposed to touch." Tarlin shrugged. "I was just checking if our passenger was worth keeping." Lyara stepped forward. "You opened my son's door. You wanted us gone." "I wanted you sold," Tarlin replied coldly. "I sent your data to a contact. Could have made enough to fix the ship for years." Rhodes's face hardened. "You tried to sell my crew," he said quietly. "She's not crew," Tarlin growled. "She's a problem, and you're too blind to see it." Without a word, Rhodes drew his blaster and pointed it at Tarlin's chest. "You're done," Tarlin laughed. "You can't fly this ship without me." "You think so?" Rhodes fired a stun shot. Tarlin collapsed unconscious. "I'll learn," Rhodes muttered. They locked Tarlin in the supply room, tied and sedated. Lyara sat in the engine bay, holding Kyle, who didn't fully understand what had happened. "He was our friend," Kale whispered. Lyara shook her head. "No, love. Friends don't betray." Later that night, Rhodes joined her. "I'm sorry," he said. "I trusted him. He helped build this ship." She looked at him. "Why did you believe me?" He shrugged. "Because I've seen betrayal. Real betrayal. And when someone lies, their eyes shift. Their breath changes. You never flinched." She gave him a weak smile. "I told you," he said. "This ship is home. But home only works if the people in it fight for each other." not against. She nodded. But as she turned away, she didn't see Rhodes quietly checking the security logs. Again, because something still didn't add up. Tarlin had accessed the bounty file, but the voice in the vent? That hadn't been his. The mission looked easy. Too easy. Just one crate, the voice on the comm said. Pick up at Virex 12. No questions asked. Big pay. Captain Rhodes should have known better. He didn't like no questions asked. But they needed credits. Especially after locking Tarlin in the storage room and losing a skilled engineer. Lyara read the contract twice. No location for delivery. Just pick up. Yep. Rhodes muttered, eyes on the screen. Feels dirty. But the ID code checks. Out. Lyara narrowed her eyes. Something's not right. But Rhodes only said one thing. We go in fast, no landing, no contact. As the Wren approached Virex 12, Lyara stood at the docking bay door, suited up. The planet below was covered in black clouds and electric storms. Only one small port showed on the scanner, Station Delta K. Kale stayed behind in the cockpit with Rhodes. Are you sure Mama's safe down there? He asked, watching the lightning flash across the clouds. Rhodes gave a small nod, but his hand never left the weapon beside him. The port was half abandoned. Lyara stepped off the ship alone, her boots sinking slightly into damp steel. The crate was there, just sitting under a blinking light. No guards, no cameras, not even a greeting. She scanned it. Nothing dangerous, just locked tight. Still, her fingers hovered over the crate's latch. Then, a whisper right behind her ear. You always make things so difficult, Lyara. She spun around, blaster drawn. Nothing. Then she heard it again. The voice wasn't real. It was inside her comlink. Rhodes, abort, she shouted. But there was only static. She turned toward the crate. Too late. A magnetic pulse exploded from inside it. Her body slammed backward. Lights flashed. Her helmet cracked. And the last thing she saw before blacking out was the shape of a familiar syndicate mask stepping from the shadows. Back on the Wren, alarm screamed. Lyara, Kyle cried. Rhodes slammed the ship into manual control. The scanner showed multiple heat signatures. 8. No, 10. A trap. She's been taken, Rhodes muttered. But not for long. He turned to Kyle. Go to the hidden room. You remember the code? Kyle nodded. 3 stars, 1 moon. That's right. Lock the door and don't come out no matter what you hear. Kale hesitated, but then ran. Rhodes grabbed his rifle. All right, bastards. You want my crew? You'll have to bleed first. Lyara woke up strapped to a chair. Her arms were bound. Her head throbbed. A syndicate officer stood before her. Sharp armor, cold eyes, you're hard to catch, he said. But we always knew you'd lead us to the boy. She spat. You'll never touch him. He smiled. You think that human captain can save you? He's just a man with a broken ship. And you're just a half-blood runaway. He stepped closer. You're not a threat. She smiled, bloody, bruised, defiant. Then why do you need 10 men to guard me? Outside the station, the Wren returned, but Rhodes wasn't flying to land. He hovered just above the roof, opened the side bay, and jumped. Jetpack roaring, the element of surprise was his. He crashed through the skylight and landed on 2 syndicate guards. They never saw it coming. Inside, Lyara heard the sounds of battle. Screams. Blaster shots. She strained against the cuffs. A guard opened the door. Stay down. She kicked him in the chest. Another rushed in. Too late. Rhodes appeared behind him, shot once, then ran to Lyara. You came back, she whispered. I don't leave my people. He unlocked her cuffs. But the crate, she said. It's a tracker. They're after Kyle. Rhodes's eyes widened. Kyle. Back on the Wren, Kyle sat in the hidden room. He listened to every sound outside. Then, he heard it. Footsteps. Inside the ship. He froze. The door to the room was locked, but someone was trying to override it. He pulled the emergency switch just like his mom taught him. A sharp electric pulse shot through the walls. From the hallway, a scream. Then silence. Rhodes and Lyara sprinted back to the ship. As they entered, smoke filled the hallway. A syndicate soldier lay unconscious outside Kale's door. Rhodes kicked him aside. Kale ran out and hugged Lyara tightly. "You're hurt," he cried. "I'm okay," she said. "You saved yourself." Again. Rhodes looked at her, breathless, but proud. "We need to disappear." She nodded. "But next time," she said, "we set the trap." He smirked. "Now you're thinking like a human." Rhodes was missing. Lyara searched every room of the Wren, from engine bay to bridge, but the captain was gone. Kyle lay unconscious in the medical room. His skin was burning hot. His heartbeat was fast, too fast. His DNA is reacting to the trauma, the med scanner said in a robotic voice. Half human biology, half Cathari, requires advanced stabilizer, not found in standard chip supply. Lyara's hands trembled. "He needs help, fast," she whispered. But Rhodes, her only support, had vanished, or so she thought. She finally found him in the cargo hold. But he wasn't checking equipment. He was standing in front of a secret panel she had never seen before. It was open. Inside, hundreds of data chips, photos, old letters, symbols of the Galactic Human Alliance, a faction that no longer existed. Lyara froze. Rhodes turned, startled. "Should have locked the door," he muttered. She stepped closer. "What is this?" He sighed and sat down on a crate. "This," he said, holding a photo of a woman and baby, "is my past, the one I don't talk about." He handed her the photo. The woman looked familiar. Lyara gasped. She was Cathari? Rhodes nodded. "My wife, Yalra. And the child, my daughter, Mira." Rhodes closed his eyes. She died during the Altheon Purge. The humans turned on their allies. Cathari were the first targets. "But why?" Lyara whispered. "Politics. Fear. Same old story. I tried to protect them, but my own people branded me a traitor." He looked up, his eyes were tired. "That's why I help others like you, because I couldn't save them." Lyara felt tears form. All this time, she thought Rhodes helped out of kindness. But it was more than that. It was guilt. "Kale is dying," she said quietly. "His body is shutting down." Rhodes stood. "I might know where we can get what he needs." "Where?" He hesitated. "Sector 7 Black. Illegal Cathari tech vault. Old war zone." "Too dangerous?" "Very," Rhodes said. "But for him, we go." Before they left, Lyara checked on Tarlon, still locked in storage. She stared through the glass. "I used to think you were just greedy," she said. "Now I think you were scared. Scared of a child who might matter more than you ever did." Tarlon didn't reply. He just glared. She turned and walked away. They reached Sector 7 Black after 3 jumps through abandoned space lanes. Asteroids drifted like bones across the dark. The vault wasn't on a planet. It was inside a broken space station floating among debris. Rhodes docked slowly. Lyara stayed quiet, holding Kale close. His breathing was shallow now. The vault door was protected by Cathari biometrics. Only someone of Cathari blood could enter. Rhodes turned to her. "This part is yours." She stepped forward, pressed her hand to the scanner. It flashed green. "Access. Granted." Inside were rows of ancient tech glowing softly. One pod blinked red, labeled Gen 7 Stabilizer. Hybrid only. Perfect. She grabbed it, then froze. Footsteps. Not theirs. 3 figures stepped out of the shadows. Syndicate hunters, Lyara. Raised her weapon, but Rhodes stepped in front of her. "Take me," he said. "Let them go." One of the hunters laughed. You're no use to us." "I'm the last ex-Alliance pilot. I have codes you can't buy. I'm worth more than a bounty." They paused. Lyara stared at Rhodes. "Don't do this." He looked back. "You saved my soul, let me save his life." but Kale, barely conscious, muttered something. "Don't leave, Papa." Rhodes blinked, then smiled. "Okay, kid. No deals. Let's fight." The battle was fast and brutal. Lyara fired with precision. Rhodes used his training like a ghost of the war. The hunters fell one by one, but not without cost. One of them stabbed Rhodes in the side. He collapsed, but still smiled. "Told you," he muttered. "I don't go down easy." Back on the Wren, Lyara injected the stabilizer into Kale's arm. He gasped. His eyes opened. "Mama?" She smiled, holding him. "You're safe now." Rhodes lay nearby, patched up, pale but breathing. "You called me Papa," he whispered. Kale smiled sleepily. "You are." The message came through just after dawn. Final warning: surrender the hybrid child or face total destruction. The Syndicate fleet had found them. Rhodes stood at the control panel of the Wren, bandaged but still steady. Lyara sat next to him, holding Kale's hand. He had fully recovered, but now the real danger had arrived. "How many ships?" she asked. Rhodes zoomed the scanner. 6 warships, armed and serious. She took a deep breath. "They're not just here for Kale," she said. "They're here to erase everything we represent." He nodded slowly. "A human and a Cathari fighting together. A hybrid child who survived. That's dangerous to people who want control." She turned to him, eyes fierce now. "Then we don't run." They had one chance. The nearby planet Drosin 5 had an abandoned human outpost, equipped with an old planetary defense system. Rusted, damaged, but powerful. "We reactivate the cannons," Lyara said. "Lure them in." "You sure?" Rhodes asked. She stared at the stars through the cockpit glass. "They called me nothing, treated me like trash. Now I'm a mother, a fighter, a survivor." She smiled. "Let's show them what nothing can do." The Wren landed on Drosin 5 under dark skies. The outpost was half buried in sand. Lyara worked fast, reactivating power cores, resetting the cannon systems. She crawled through broken wires, rerouted energy lines, rebooted ancient defense AI. Hours passed. Kale stayed inside the ship, watching quietly. Finally, the lights on the towers turned blue. "System active." Rhodes smiled. "You did it." She wiped her hands. "Now we wait." The Syndicate arrived in formation, weapons locked. Their message was cold. "We will destroy the outpost. Give us the child, or be erased." Lyara stepped onto the roof of the command center, wearing an old pilot's coat. She activated the comms. Her voice rang across space. "You had your chance. You hunted me. You threatened my son, and you called me weak. But I survived. We survived. And now we fight." There was silence on their end. Then, they opened fire. Rhodes activated cannon systems. The first 2 blasts struck the lead Syndicate ship. Explosions lit up the sky. Lyara controlled the auto-defense turrets. They moved like her hands were guiding them with willpower alone. She wasn't a fighter by training, but she was a mother. And there's nothing more dangerous than a mother protecting her child. The battle roared. Rhodes shouted over the alarms, "2 ships down!" But one Syndicate vessel landed on the planet's surface, sending ground troops. "They're coming for Kale," he yelled. Lyara didn't wait. She ran through the tunnels, past the old barracks, toward the Wren. Kyle stood at the loading ramp, holding a small stun blaster. "Mama, get inside." The Syndicate hunters arrived, heavily armed. Lyara stepped in front of her son. "You want him?" she growled. "Come take him." They moved forward. Then a deep, thunderous voice rang out. "No!" It was Rhodes, blaster in both hands, standing high on the cargo ramp roof. He fired first. Lyara followed. Together, they fought like a wall of flame. When the dust cleared, the hunters were down. Back in orbit, the last Syndicate ship tried to escape, but the outpost's AI activated a final missile system. Lock, target, fire. The last enemy ship exploded in silence. The battle was over. 3 days later, a message was sent across neutral space from Lyara. She stood before the camera, Kyle. By her side, Rhodes behind them. My name is Lyara Velthir. I was no one, a hybrid, a runaway, a single mother. But I fought, and I survived. To every hybrid child hiding in fear, to every outsider told they don't belong, this is your proof. You are not nothing. You are the future. The message spread, first to small planets, then to old war refugees, then even to human systems. The Syndicate denied everything, but they knew. The galaxy had changed. 1 month later, the Wren flew freely, unafraid. Kyle sat in the pilot's seat, small hands on the controls. Lyara walked in, smiling. Where to next, Captain? Rhodes asked. Kyle looked up. Somewhere new, somewhere safe. Rhodes grinned. You heard him. Lyara laughed. She wasn't running anymore. She was flying.